Tonight in our in-depth coverage, it's with Broken Arrow Police Chief Lance Arnold. As we've been doing when we speak with all law enforcement agencies when they come on recently, we ask them what, if any, role they're taking with immigration and customs enforcement. But our evening anchor Shay Razi also wanted to talk about the new efforts by Broken Arrow Police to crack down on paper tags being used improperly on many cars.
Joining us for an unedited interview is Broken Arrow Police Chief Lance Arnold. Thanks so much for coming by our studio.
Thank you, Shay. I'm happy to be here.
It's nice to see you. And one of the topics we want to just jump right into is illegal immigration. It's something we've been asking local law enforcement about when they've come into the studio, as well as our state lawmakers. It's been a big hot topic for a few months now.
Yeah.
So wanted to find out, has there been any operations with Broken Arrow Police Department and Immigration and Customs Enforcement?
No, there hasn't, and we really don't intend to. You know, I know that with Governor Stitt's Operation Guardian, there were several state agencies that cross-deputized with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That option is available to local law enforcement, but we've chosen really not to go down that path. You know, our commitment is going to be to serve every member of our community and every visitor that comes, and we feel like that's the best way to continue to do that.
Is there a specific reason why you chose not to join that Operation Guardian and the cross?
Yeah, you know, the way I understand Operation Guardian really is it's targeting right now those that have been sentenced, convicted and sentenced. And, you know, we operate a city jail certainly, but people that stay longer go to Tulsa County or Wagner County, wherever it occurred. And so, you know, that's just not really what we want to be engaged in. Our role is not to necessarily conduct immigration investigations. It's really to provide the best level of service and the highest level of service that we can, regardless of someone's immigration status. You know, we have about 12% of our community are Hispanic or Latino, another 5% that are Asian. And so we know that we have community members that, I won't say they're undocumented, but certainly that may have some fear about what they're seeing because they don't want to be necessarily profiled or anything like that. And it's not normally something we would do.
All right. Would ICE let you know if they have an operation going on in the Broken Arrow community, even if the police department is not part of that operation?
They don't have to let us know. Certainly they have federal jurisdiction, but customarily they would let us know if they were doing something.
Okay. And of course, there's always that fear. Would they come into schools? So you're saying the BAPD would not be part of that, and you would hope ICE would let you know if that were the case, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be the case here in Oklahoma.
No, it doesn't seem so. And I think Governor Stitt has a good plan for how Oklahoma is handling that. You know, he's covered that in detail with Operation Guardian, but our Broken Arrow Public Schools has also released statements about how they intend to handle that, you know, and so we're really trying to get the word out to our community members that our goal is to keep our community safe, but we also, by doing that, want to foster that trust, security, and inclusion for everybody in our community and any visitor that comes to Broken Arrow.
Right, makes sense. Another thing that's happening in Broken Arrow is a crackdown on paper tags.
Yeah.
So tell us how this became an issue and how are you cracking down? What have you found so far?
Yeah, well, certainly we take complaints of paper tags, but you know, the Mason-Treat bill, it was enacted last September, and it was a tragic incident with Senator Treat's son. So we see that criminals like to use paper tags and switch cars and really stay out of us being able to help track them down or find them or something like that. That's what we're most concerned about. But before we start the enforcement effort, we're really educating our community. We're educating our car dealerships. We have over 31 car dealerships in Broken Arrow, and so we're trying to get them educated too to what the law is. So after 10 days, that paper tag is no longer good.
10 days.
10 days, right. But the state has a system in place where you don't have to actually pay your tax, title, and license, which is some reasons why people don't get their tag when they should. They may pay a low down payment on a car, but then they realize when they go to get those things, there's an exorbitant cost that they maybe didn't figure. And so, but they don't have to do that. They can still register the vehicle and get a metal tag, and then they still have the full 30 to 60 days to pay the tax, title, and license.
Okay, so that's good to know. And it's one of those things, the more time that passes, you forget. You know, life gets busy, you move on, and then you're like, oh gosh, I got to go pay this bill. And so you certainly don't want to get pulled over with a paper tag if you haven't done what you're supposed to do. On that note, there are some cities in Oklahoma where they've caught people using a Sharpie to try to change the date on their tag. Have you seen anything like that? And what would be the consequences if you caught someone with an expired tag or that might have been up to some wrongdoing?
Well, certainly one of the most common consequences is we're going to impound the vehicle
right away.
Right away. And so obviously our officers have the discretion. We wouldn't push a family out on the side of the road or anything like that. But really our concern is that the criminal element that would use these opportunities opportunities to not be caught by police or from cameras that may be in the area, where there are private or public cameras. And so that's one of the concerns that we have. But certainly there's fines that come along with that, and then we can take the vehicle.
Okay. Now, so I know that you mentioned there are more than 30 car dealerships in Broken Arrow. So in your crackdown process of this paper tag and public awareness, it's not just, you know, trying to lay down the law. It's really an educational thing as well. So will you also be contacting these dealerships right away when you pull over a car with a suspicious paper tag?
Well, we've already been in contact with our dealerships, and so that's part of our plan of rolling it out before we really step up enforcement, is to make sure our dealerships are aware that the law changed last September, and to make sure that they're complying the best that they can. It's even on a private to private seller, and so we've put information in our utility bills that are going out to our residents. We're going to have a social media campaign. So we're really trying to just raise awareness that, hey, this law is in place, and we don't want people that are just unassuming or that don't know any better or think it's the way it was, when really our intent is to crack down on the criminal side of that. You asked if we've seen those things, and we haven't, but what we have seen really across the country are people that do these fictitious tags or alter tags so that they can commit crimes and get away with it. So,
yeah, and we don't want that to happen really anywhere, but especially in your city of Broken Arrow. All right, well, speaking of cars and things like that, you guys have this really cool tool. I remember when we first reported on it, I was like, this looks like something out of a Batman movie or a Spider-Man movie. You have the grappler, and I feel like you got to do that when you say grappler.
And that's kind of what it does, right? We did. So yeah, we actually had our first deployment, and maybe the first deployment in the state of Oklahoma with that. You know, we got the grappler really to bring any pursuit or any other activity really to a controlled and safe stop. Really back to promoting the safety in our community. And so a couple of weeks ago, Tulsa Police Department had an assault and dangerous weapon with a dangerous weapon suspect that they fled into our city. They were chased by Tulsa PD, and right down Elm Street, coming all the way kind of through the center of Broken Arrow. And while it wasn't a high-speed pursuit, the suspect certainly was refusing to stop, was causing all kinds of dangerous conditions, and we were able to assist them and really just exactly like I said, bring it to a safe and controlled stop, and then take him into custody without any other issues. And so just a better way that we can protect our community in all aspects of things.
Yeah, with the point being, if someone is going to run from police or keep driving away from police, you don't know what they're going to do in terms of what kind of threat they might be to the public.
That's exactly right. In this case, he allegedly had pointed a firearm to someone that it didn't stem from an argument or anything like that, just randomly pointed a firearm at someone. And so that's somebody dangerous that you don't want to just get away, or especially in our community or anywhere, but really to get away and then because of the pursuit or whatever the case. And the other thing about the grappler is it doesn't have to be a pursuit. So if we want to immobilize a vehicle before someone could run, then we can use it in that way too.
Oh, smart. Okay. All right. Well, Chief Arnold, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shay.